back before it happens, the world is just experiencing an ordinary day, no different from others. However, there will be one thing that will change the world forever. The when day breaks has just started, and the humans just start turning into one of these melted creatures and start destroying their nations, merging with any organism, all worldwide. But what if this 90 human will be the new beacon of light in this darkest world? In the first years, the 90 humans were able to spawn a civilization, and the humans is still stuck on the Siberian land where the melted creatures are really scarce, so the human can freely do whatever they want and rebuild civilization. But they knew they only have limited spaces, so they will continue outside of Siberia, like in Manchuria or other part of Siberia. In northern China, the humans have a little bit of a battle with the melted creatures that is also really well popular in the area, so the humans have to go trial and error to get to settle here. And look at that, the humans managed to take over China and kill the melted creatures. In China, the humans, well, they have lost their settlements to the melted creatures, but even then they managed to find their foothold and actually conquer back China. It did seems like that the humanity will rise back up and take back the world that they once owned. And also there is many nations fighting for controls and empires rise and fall, you know, the typical human civilization. But the humans are now advancing into the European continent, which will be going there now. And the humans have just conquered the entire Russia, or what used of the entire Russia, and the humans try to battle their way to kill the melted creatures. But through trials and errors, they're able to conquer Scandinavia and Belarus. Many humans tried to settle in Bulgaria, but most were failed. But hey, they actually conquered most of Europe. All they need is to conquer and reclaim the Western Europe, that is France, Spain, Italy, and the British Isles. But the future will foresee the future of this humanity and the fate that awaits. The world sees a new age as the Africa is continued to be discovered by the settlers and continue to make new settlements as they kill more and more of the melted creatures. And most of the North Africa has now been conquered and settled by hundreds of populace. All that's left is the West Sahara and South Africa, as well Madagascar. But other than that, also for some reason, Gabon is still uninhabited, and many nations continue to fight. By this point, Asia, Europe, Africa, and Australia has now been reclaimed by humanity. But all that left is the repeat of history for the new world to be discovered, and it is already been discovered by Edikir Empire in Quebec. So the new world has been discovered, but Latin America is not yet, so they actually settled there. But due to the melted creatures still being present there, it's gonna take like a lot of hardships for them to settle there. And look at that, Brazil settlement has disappeared. As for Southeast Asia, as we look back into the humanity's home, the empire continued to thrive and advance. Even in the weakest time, they will continue to thrive, and in this ever-evolving world, they will adapt Only few of the strongest will survive, while the weakest get to be defeated and banished. Back in the North American continent, there is now two nations that have gained independence from the empires. That is the okay, how can you pronounce that? And the realm of the Osist. And also the devils might have just landed in the American and just burned a few of the grass and trees. But hey, the human managed to take back what was once theirs. And by this point, the melted creatures are becoming rarer and rarer by day. But humans managed to actually settle in the Mexico, the Central America. That's gotta be good. And the one nation realm of the Osset has conquered most of the American continent. And as we zoom back into the world, the humanity managed to find foothold and reclaim what was once lost. Well, except Latin America, which is, well, still conquered, well, actually still controlled by the melted people. Speaking of which, the Amazon is still getting burned by the devils. Anyway, the world and Latin America is continued to be settled by hundreds of humans as they find and to try to settle into their one last continent, the Latin America. Oh, and let's just ignore the New Zealand that is uninhabited, as well Greenland. Besides that, the human actually, well, doing a pretty good, like they actually have rebuilt the civilization with no more melted creatures. And by this point, the melted creatures are just extinct with how many of their land was lost and killed by the humans. That is very sad, but also not sad for the humans, since, you know, humans were killed. And with that, 740 years in, and we will start in Siberia where it all started. The 19 humans have sprawled into a civilization with hundreds of people now born and settled here, with the cities continue to thrive and advance. Though Japan, Sulawesi and Malaya is still not yet settled, Australia is doing pretty good, while New Zealand stays to be uninhabited for hundreds of years. India is doing good as well, China and the rest of Siberia, which is previously scarce, but now there's a lot of people here. That is pretty good for the Siberian people. In the Russia, the European Russia and Scandinavia, they're doing pretty good, with hundreds of people farming, while Ireland and few islands still continue to be uninhabited. Arabia and the Arab nation is doing quite good, even in the desert. In South Africa, they have built societies. In Latin America, however, it is exactly brand new, so still a lot of plot of land to thrive. As for the rest of America, there is still a lot of forest and trees still here, since brand new. With that, that is the end of my documentary. In the end, the humanity will continue to live on, even in their darkest moments. Long live humanity.